Hello, I'm trying again. Nobody's here currently, but hopefully those of you that were here are going to come to this video. Let's see what happens. How very frustrating that my last chat. Hello, someone's arrived. Yes, I got cut off on my last one. I don't know what happened. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But I'm here to be here. No. Yes, okay. I think maybe it's just not a good time for Wi-Fi. Maybe there's lots of people doing live streams now because it's a great time to do a live stream. Say hello to me in the chat, please. Let me know you're here. Right, I'm going to have my biscuit and let people arrive for a moment. And then we'll get into boater politics, because if you were in the last one, you'll have seen my flowers, and if you weren't, I'll show you them at the end, because I want to talk about boater politics. It's a video I've tried to film several times before, and the world seems to be against me filming it since my live chat where I was starting to talk about it just got cut off. Hurrah! Milan! I'm very well, thank you. Martha's Vineyard. I think Raymond was on the last live stream as well, where I was chatting on the roof. Right. So, I want to talk about boater politics because I don't think it's something people really talk about, and it's something that really surprised me when I first moved onto the boat. So, when I say thank you, somebody loves my hat. So when is it very windy sounding now? Can you hear? And someone in South Africa as well. So when I first moved onto the boat, I was surprised by the amount of sort of boater politics, and I don't mean like politics. I mean like office politics type thing. So like everybody on the waterways basically has an opinion about the CRT, the BW. So the CRT is the Canal and River Trust, the BW is British Waterways, that used to run the Canal and River system before the Canal and River Trust took over. There's like the NBTA, that are a group that advocate for boater rights and fight for people not to be kicked off their boats, and also fight for keeping open things like facilities and things like that. They do a lot of stuff, but that's kind of the main stuff that I know them for doing. And then there's like the IWA as well, and they're like a group of people who are very much into the history of boating. They're the Inland Waterways Association, and some of what they do is what's the word? Like they petition for and work on reopening old bits of canal that have been closed down, and they also I know the Canal and River Trust will get letters and things from them about how they think things should be done. So boating etiquette is another sort of part of politics in boating. People have very specific ideas about what's appropriate and what isn't appropriate when boating. Somebody's from March. My family live near there. And then there's kind of this whole thing of like, if something's going wrong, often it's a new boater who doesn't know very much. If something's and then there's like the politics between like the wide beams and the narrow boats, and like the mooring people and the people who continuously cruise, and the liveaboard boaters and the holiday boaters, and like it's not necessarily something I want to share my opinions on every single one of them, but it's something that I think if you aren't a boater, you wouldn't really ever hear about or know about. It's really like interesting. And people, like, there are full-on like conspiracy theories about Oh, so many people from Cambridgeshire. Hey, big up the Cambridgeshire people. Whoop, whoop. Hello, someone's in Portugal as well, and India. Oh, this is so exciting. I think I must have chosen an all right time for people to kind of all be in daytime across the world. And Texas, so not too far from where I was born, in Tennessee. Yeah, so the interesting thing about that obviously is that you'd never have any idea about it, and then all of a sudden you've got to kind of have your own political opinions, and you have conversations with people, and then like, so we were invited, we've been to a meeting of the MBTAs before, but then a little while after that we were invited to a mooring consultation. So basically the Canal Trust were thinking to change a lot of things up, and hello Kirill, thanks for watching. And they basically invited a bunch of boaters, and it was that people on a certain stretch got a letter delivered onto their boat to see if we wanted to come and do this meeting. And it's amazing really, because some people know so much about the politics and the ins and outs of it, and then there are other waterways users, like people who cycle on the towpath, people who are, like in London there's a couple of charitable groups that do either boat tours for disadvantaged youths and other charitable organisations, and then I know there's one that does like kayaking on a particular stretch of the canal, and then there's also like a bunch of people in a particular area of London who, if you're a London boater you'll know, do not like boaters and complain and like berate boaters on the towpath all the time, and they're constantly going on to the CRT to try and get this particular bit of permanent mooring, like not permanent mooring, this particular bit of continuous cruiser mooring. They want to get rid of it because they don't like boaters running their engine or burning their fires, because they think the smell gets in their house and stuff. So there was all these different groups at this meeting, and so everybody got to kind of have their say, and then the Canal and River Trust sort of took that into account, so they said. I don't really know, but the upshot of it was actually very interesting, and if what they've said they're going to do happens, some of it's really good and some of it's really bad, and I kind of feel like, for me at least, I just feel like there's no way for them to really please everyone. Oh, we've got lots of people who must be on boats. We've got Hemel Hempstead as well, and Mile End, and someone in Hertford, Stansted Abbots. Brilliant to see some lovely boaters here. So maybe if anybody has anything they want to say about boat politics in the comments, that'd be quite interesting. What's the rule about having a beer on a boat? Well, do it if you want it. I don't think there is a rule. We've got somebody in the K&A, so we're planning to visit the K&A. We were planning to do it this summer, but obviously we'll have to see how things go. Does anybody have any questions or anything they want to say about boat politics? Radio silence. Oh, we've got somebody in Belgium as well. It's really cool seeing where everyone's from. I don't know, it's difficult because I don't necessarily want to talk about my opinions on all of these things, because no matter what I say I'm going to make somebody angry, and I'm not really interested in being part of that conversation in that way. Like, I do engage with it in real life, but like, I don't think in an official This Narrowboat Adventure capacity I want to be a part of that conversation. In fact, I generally try to avoid talking about the Canal and River Trust on my channel. What do I think of loud generators? I think probably the people that need to use loud generators can't afford the quieter ones. When we first got our boat, we did get a loud generator with it. We don't usually use it, but like, well, we've given it away now, but like, if you can't afford to spend a couple of grand on a generator, then you've got to buy a second-hand one. Oh, I'm really glad my etiquette vlog was very useful for you. How clean is the water in the canals? I can understand drain your sink. Hold on a second, it's all going too fast. Yes, nobody. Oh, yay! I've got somebody called Grandpa in Tennessee, but you're not my grandpa. But I was born in Tennessee, so hi, Grandpa, and hi, Phil. But yeah, so how clean is the water in the canals? Well, at the moment it's very clean because nobody's moving. Yeah, grey water goes in the canal from boaters, and depending on where you are will depend how clean it is. For me, I tend to not swim in London because I think it's probably not very clean, although every single day for the last week somebody has been jumping in the canal and swimming across whenever we've been well, just and then walking back to their flat, so there's nothing really wrong with it. And then there's like, when you get out of London it's a lot cleaner. Certain times of year it's a lot cleaner. In the summer it's a lot cleaner because there's a lot of weed, and the weed kind of filters the water, so it depends on a lot of different things. I'm not really sure what you're getting at, Dougie. Maybe you can elaborate. Yeah, I have to say I'm also rather fancying a move, but unfortunately we're basically in a spot where we don't need to. Since no one else is moving, we can't guarantee there's anywhere to go, so... Okay, now something I'm So we've got Philip, who says he knows that the CRT was intended to take over from the British waterways and move costs away from public sector, bound to cause problems. So what I know about this is that what happened when the Canal and River Trust took over is that the stuff that was generally done in-house was things like the, what's it called, the dredging and things like that, where the Canal and River Trust would have owned the machines. They sold those machines to another company, and then that company now rents those machines back to the Canal and River Trust with somebody who drives them and stuff. So the idea was that that was supposed to save money because they wouldn't have to pay for the maintenance of the machines. But then there's all these people who work for the Canal and River Trust who normally would have been able to use those machines, who now, like, we've seen boats that have sunk in locks and things, and there'll be like 4 or 5 Canal and River Trust guys there, but they can't actually do anything that they would normally do because of all the changes. So it's kind of weird what's happened with that. Ben Slater says he loves the history of the canal. Well, maybe you should chat to somebody from the IWA. They're very interesting. I've been trying to get someone to interview, but they're not easy to get hold of online, so it's better if you can go to like an event. Like, I met them at Crick and they're really nice, and I've emailed them, but I think it's just, I don't know, I find them quite difficult to get hold of. Maybe they just don't want to talk to me. We'll see. Maybe it will just take some time. I was born in Tennessee. I don't know exactly where, I'm afraid. I'm sorry. Also, probably not going to announce that to the internet either. Well, I mean, everybody does have their say, and it's actually, I think, a very difficult job that they have to try and keep everybody happy. But obviously I have my biases being a boater. Oh, Stefan, I'm not sure what you mean when you say, what about, is that wheels? I don't know what that means. Maybe you could tell me a bit more. Plants love it. Okay, Mike, I don't think that's terribly appropriate. Maybe you could try and be a bit more PG in the comments. What are my views on water filtration systems that claim to give drinkable water from the canal? What about the issues with diesel engines on the canal? Well, okay, let's do one thing at a time. So, water filtration systems that claim to give drinkable water from the canal. I don't think I trust it, personally. I know people that have them. They're very expensive, and yeah, I don't know. I think I just wouldn't trust it. Although saying that, like, I literally have never cleaned my water tank, It's stainless steel though, so I don't feel like I really need to. The water seems clean enough, and I've never got sick. But like, yeah, I still don't fancy the idea of it being from the canal, but then I don't really know where my water comes from, so maybe that's a bit short-sighted of me. What about diesel engines on the canal? I don't think it is an issue. Like, there are diesel engines on the canal, that's how it's always been. I don't really know what the issue is. I know some people are kind of pushing to not have that, but like, I don't know, I don't feel like, I mean, when I consider how much fuel we use in our diesel engine, I don't think that we can be contributing that much to, like, negatively to the environment, because if you look at how much fuel like a diesel car uses, probably one diesel car is equivalent to like 10 or 20 narrowboats, maybe even more. Yes, well, I'm trying to do a weekly live stream, spooky bed hair, on Wednesdays at 2. I've been battling a little bit to try and get some videos done the normal way, but it's not going as on plan as I'd like, but at least I can come and do this with you every week, and I've got a list of things I want to make. It's just I've been busy and I've been trying to sort of keep on top of everything. Brett, I don't play cricket. Wells disease. Oh, is that the one that the rats have? Yeah, so there are rats, and Wells disease is more common in the canal because they wee in the canal, and because like they wee on your ropes and stuff. But yeah, it's not something I particularly worry about. I don't drink canal water, I just swim about in it and then I have a shower afterwards. So hello, Jeff in New York. I'm just trying to see if anybody else is saying anything about boat politics, because that's really what I want to talk about. Do you know what? If you are interested in hearing about some proper boat politics, there's a guy called Joel who does a comedy set called The Angry Boater, and he has got a really good not YouTube channel, a really good podcast. If you search The Angry Boater, he has this podcast and he interviews boaters for like 2 hours at a time. He's done the ones I would especially recommend. He's done one with me, you can listen to that, but the ones I would recommend is John Hill and Johnny Diesel, who unfortunately passed away this year, but he did 2 podcasts with Johnny Diesel, and that was very, very interesting. Johnny Diesel is a beautiful man, was a beautiful man. He was a diesel delivery guy, and he just was like the kindest hearted person I've ever met. And he basically would drive around in a van delivering diesel and stuff and colour gas and things like that to boaters, and he was just an absolute delight. His podcast with The Angry Boater was fantastic, but those two have a lot of like boater politics in them, but all of his podcasts are really, really good, so I highly recommend The Angry Boater podcast. Philip, I entirely agree that there is always going to be conflict for the different kinds of boaters, and there's always going to be like a them and us. That's just kind of how people are. But yes, we do have to try and be good neighbours and bear in mind who can't move and who can move and who is there first and all that stuff. Messy politics and a lot of people were saying that they'd rather have canal boat politics than what's going on in America, and I have to say I agree. Oh, okay, Mike, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt in that case. How did I come to being on a boat? Well, there is a video. If you go to my channel and you put the videos from oldest first, you can see my video. But essentially, I had decided I wanted to move out. Sorry about my thumb. I wanted to move out of London. I was getting kind of lonely, but also I really wanted to have a little bit more of a green lifestyle and a bit more community. And I really, really wanted to build a researched that for like probably a year, and then I realised it was virtually impossible because you just can't get planning permission for cob very easily in this country, and frankly I couldn't even really afford the land. So that was kind of what was going through my mind, and I think I just was in a bit of a nesting phase. And then my friend got a boat, and we went and helped her move. Marlies, you've seen her on the channel very recently actually, with she's the lady on the massage. I've got one of her products with me to show you. I've got this, which is like a beautiful smell oil, and it's just a little roller ball. Sorry, I'll get back to the story in a second. And so it's like mint, cedar and lavender, and it smells like a gorgeous allotment, and it makes me very happy, and I just smell it and chill myself out of it. Oh, whoopsie daisy. So yes, I met Marlies, I helped her move her boat, and then about a year after that of like helping her and getting to know her and stuff, I decided maybe this is for me. I thought initially it wasn't because I get terribly seasick, but after having spent some time on her boat I realised that I don't get seasick on a narrowboat. But I did actually get land sick when I first moved on, and I'm expecting I might get land sick after we stop the lockdown, because I'm spending so much time on the boat that I'm not really used to stable land. Okay, let's keep going. Right. Oh gosh, I can't keep up with you all. It's hard not to be true. Yeah, I mean, I have no problem, and like I am a cyclist, so I am a cyclist, and I was a canoeist on the waterways. I think the only thing that can be a bit frustrating as a narrowboat is like if you, for instance, see cyclists. There was a cyclist that hit a swan and killed it a while ago, and that was a bit upsetting. And then sometimes it's a bit difficult to predict what the canoeists are going to do, so like that sometimes could be frustrating, but I don't see that more as a judgment overall. It's just like occasionally it can be a little frustrating, but there very much are conversations that are like the conversations that everyone has over and over and over again. Am I ever an angry boater? Yes, I am actually. I've really found my angry, aggressive side of myself through boating. And it's just that I'm very protective of my boat. I caught somebody stealing, trying to steal my watering can once, and I went from like 0 to 100. I was like, what do you think you're doing? And I was very angry, and some kids jumped on our roof a little while ago, so that made me quite angry, and Seb had to calm them down because I was being very mean to them. But generally I'm okay. I don't really like having my picture taken, but usually I try to react to that by imagining that the people that are taking my picture are maybe somebody who watches my videos, or pretending that they're kids, because I don't feel so bad about kids being interested in boating, but I get a bit annoyed by the constant pictures from tourists. I'm not going to talk about COVID-19. There are plenty of other boater channels that are talking about it. I'm going to talk about it after it's all done, and I've made one video about it. You can have a look, but we're all just doing our best like everyone else. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm here to distract people from it. Oh yes, Canal World Forum is an absolutely brilliant resource for basically everything boating, but there is a lot of boater politics there, and I highly recommend it as a source of information. Like, obviously it's all opinion based, but there's lots of different information, and basically any question you can think of, it's already been asked and it's already been answered there, so you can find like loads of brilliant information. But that's kind of why I started the channel, because when I was looking about boats and researching, I researched so much, but at the time there was only a sort of Interesting Life who was making narrowboat videos, and I was like, this is so hard to find any information, so I'm going to make a channel and I'm going to answer this information so it's easy for other people. Ooh, there's a coot fight. Alright, if it comes closer, I'll show you again. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic, Wish Wader. Maybe you can tell me. Brett says I have a lucky face. Thanks so much, Brett. I'm so glad that this has stayed working this time. It was very frustrating before. Yeah, so somebody said they don't think that there are enough boats in the canal to equal just a few lorries, which is kind of my point. I think that people who are... I think it's easy to blame boaters because you can physically see the engine noise, like you can see any smoke that's coming out of the engine, and you can see the smoke coming out of the fireplace, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing anything worse than any other houses and stuff. Is a total self-generated electric narrowboat a possibility in the future? I think it already exists, but I don't know how well it works. But I think there are people working on that currently. Jeremy's giving me some lovely health advice, so thank you very much. Let's see what we've got. Am I Karma and Miranda? Is this because I've got my little... I know, well, I just felt like it today. Ah! My beautiful friend Marley. Oh, I must be really far behind in these comments because she's talking about something I did a few minutes ago. Right, okay, hold on. Yeah, I fell in the water several times this year. Twice in the summer. One time I was in my swimming costume already and the gangplank collapsed underneath me after I'd been in to collect something I dropped off the roof, and the second time I jumped off to go to a lock and it was a steeper bank than I expected, and I just slid backwards, and then I stood there and I was like, oh no, my shoes are very expensive, sandals, and I don't want to lose them. And that's how I found out that what kind of shoes is it? Gosh, maybe Marlies can tell me what kind of sandals I've got. We bought them together. But anyway, my shoes are so they float, which is perfect for boater shoes. Seb will do another stream and I will get it done properly like we're doing now for the next one. Yes, for the person asking about electric narrowboats, Cruising the Cut has got one and he is great, so I recommend, if you're not already subscribed to him, to subscribe. Boats aren't just practical. Well, I think my boat is very practical and I don't care what you say, Paul. Right, so I think, Birkenstocks, thank you Marlies. So my Birkenstocks float. So I stood in the water, I had one on my foot, and I was like, I can't get out until I find the other one, and it was floating behind me. So I think we ought to do a little bit of showing you how the flowers and plants have been growing since the last time I saw you, which I think the video about planting was a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to show you how they're doing. So if you remember, I had two plants that I was planting from plants, and then the rest were all seeds basically. But hold on, because my tea's going to get cold, so I'm going to quickly drink it. Okay, so this plant, oh my goodness, okay, hold on. So this plant has started to flower. Which is just absolutely gorgeous. This one is looking a bit bushier, but it's not flowered that's okay. It's got time. What is this message? Oh, somebody else fell in when they fell off a ladder into the middle of nowhere. Oh dear, that sounds quite worrying. No, I don't drink beer, so sorry Dave, I can't drink a pint like that. Okay, hold on. I've got to get down. Oh, I know, I prepared for this. Hold on. Oh, I had planned for this to be the little while you're waiting thing. Is it possible? Let's see. Oh. Right. Hold on. Did it work? Yes. Oof. Oh, my leg's gone completely dead. Okay. Would I like to live on a GRP? No. Not that I have anything against them. I just really like steel boats. I like... Sorry. Someone loud was going past. I really like my narrowboat. That doesn't necessarily mean I don't like GRPs. I just don't think that the size of boat we're probably looking to get next would be easily found on a GRP. And also, I think with GRPs, like, you have to learn a whole new set of skills to, like, look after one. It is a little chilly. No, I don't my boat. I'm not that, I mean, occasionally we will with a hose, but nothing special. Good, everyone's seen the Moomins. I love the Moomins. I just thought that would be fun for while I was climbing off the roof. Potatoes or tomatoes? Strawberries, actually. Okay. You can call me Jazzy Moomin, I'd love that. One time I did a job as a Moomin and it was the best day of my life. Okay. Where are the little seedlings? Okay. So, can you see there's a couple of seedlings coming up there? And here we've got a couple of seedlings. Here's a couple more. By the way, I've completely lost track of which one's which now. And then this little rosemary's looking very happy. The lemon balm is extremely happy. Oh, it smells so good. So that is what's going on with the little seedlings. So, what's going on? I thought we might finish with a little bit of a Q&A if anybody has any questions left that they want to ask. Jet washing the front of your vegan cafe? Oh, I used to work in a vegan cafe. I'm not vegan though. We covered that in the last live stream, but just to be clear. But I used to work in the most delightful vegan place. It was like a bar, cafe, and it was also like a community place. Yes, it is a really good community, and everyone's been lovely and helpful, and yeah, we made a friend down the way who sold us a ton of logs, so we've got all the things we need now. Okay, do I think the canals are getting congested? Well, depends where you are. I don't think so. Outside of London, London is busy, it's always been busy. The thing that makes it seem more congested is that certain moorings have been closed or taken away, which is not great, but as long as you're happy to get on with things and like not always be in London, then you'll never feel that congested. Although I think for people who don't come from London on their boat, they often feel London is congested because it's so much more congested to anywhere else outside of London. Like, you can't get away with not double mooring in London, really. Did I get coal and fuel? No, we didn't get coal, and we've been getting some fuel from the garage nearby, but they've sold out for coal. But we've got loads of logs, and it's getting warmer, so it's not that bad. Yeah, certain areas of London aren't that busy. Like Kensal Green, you can usually get a spot. If you're on the River Lee, you can usually get some spots. If you go to basically all of West London is much less busy because there's less like facilities. Paul Roberts, what do you mean we need to get together as a political pressure group? I would love you to tell me more. Jeff, I will be doing more live streams every Wednesday, 2 o'clock, that's the plan. I try to have something to talk about in case nobody has any questions. I don't want it to be boring, I don't want it to be too all over the place, because other people might want to watch it back afterwards and hopefully they can at least find out a bit about boater politics. I don't have a college job. I know it can be a bit confusing. I am at university, so we tend to move in the summer holidays. My partner works at school. Well, he works with young people, so that's part of what keeps us mostly within the school holidays. I have like 4 jobs, but they're all, well, at the minute I don't really, but you know, but like all of my jobs are freelance, so I can choose to not work when people want to cruise, so that's what I do. And also some of my jobs are like in exams, so they usually happen during the school time. What's a GRP I mentioned? Well, this boat behind me is a GRP. It just basically means a boat that's made out of fiberglass. They're also called yogurt pots or plastic boats. Basically, fiberglass boat. And if you are looking for a boat, there's nothing wrong with them. You can get a lot more boat for your money. It's just like a slightly different skill set, really. My mechanic swears by them. Yeah, that's the thing. Outside of London, everybody tells you horror stories about going into London. That's another bit of like boater politics. And people will go, oh, you're from London, so are you a shuffler? So if you are outside of London, everyone's like, oh, you go to London, it's busy and it's horrible and you get robbed and mugged and da 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 da. That's kind of not necessarily true. Obviously people get mugged and people get robbed and all that, but like there's kind of specific areas where those tend to happen, and there's a good community and people communicate when those things happen, so it's a lot easier to avoid than you'd think. I don't know whether more people will choose to live on the rivers because of what's going on. They might realise that it's kind of more difficult if you're on a, to be honest. But there seems to be different things that make people want to, and a lot of people move on to boats and move off 6 months later. There's all sorts of things that go on, like it's all much of a muchness. I think part of what tends to happen though is that boats tend to go, I think probably there'll be more people buying and selling boats after all this just because they haven't been able to, and Easter's usually like a big time for boat buying. Well, there is a group for boaters to protect their rights. They're called the NBTA. You can have a look into them, Paul. No work now. Well, I still have a few invoices out for jobs I've previously done. Usually some of my jobs take like 3 months to pay. I won't be able to collect any dole money because I'm a full-time student, so I'm gonna have to try and make do. I have both American and English passports, yes. Double oaring etiquette in London. Okay, so we tend to try and ask first, and we knock, and if somebody's in, we'll ask. If they're not in, we'll just tie up. But it's not unheard of for people not to ask, and to be honest, like, if you're in central London, you kind of just got to get used to the fact it's going to happen. It's not unheard of for somebody to go, is it alright if I go on the outside because I've got this crazy dog that's going to bark every time you walk over the boat or something. That's so funny. I always like that. Yeah. I feel like I can never tell when you're back. No. The boat behind me is moored probably in more of a sea style, but I don't think there's anything much wrong with it. Yeah, it is nice because you get to make friends with your neighbour, especially in summer, and everyone sits on the bow and makes barbecues together and has chats. It's brilliant. Oh, I love the Rivoli. It's so beautiful. It's one of my favourite places. Where's Hillings Lock? Mark, tell me. No, when I say invoices, I mean I've done work and then I've sent them a letter asking them to pay me, and sometimes they take a long time. That particular one is through like an agency and the NHS, and then I think they both just take a little while to pay, and then eventually I get my money, but it's not worth chasing up because it always takes 3 months, so I'm not too worried about it. Yeah, but I think I'll be okay, at least for the 3 months. We can only do our best, can't we? I'm kind of feeling like it's a good time to stop. Let's see how my battery's doing. Right, we've got a little bit of time. I did do an episode of Call the Midwife. I don't know what episode though. But I know that it was the one where Miranda faints. I think on Gas and Air. Nunya, where are you from? Do you want to come play the outro? No, too sleepy. I want to see where Nunya's from, and then I'm going to get going, I think. Nunya, yes. You said what? I want to know where you're from. The name is interesting, and I was wondering. This is the waiting dance. I don't think he's going to reply. That's okay. You don't have to tell me where you're from. I was just interested because it's not a name I've heard before. Oh, Montana. Oh, that's not what I was expecting at all. Okay. much for watching, and have a beautiful day. If you'd like to join us for more live streams and hopefully more videos very soon, you can click subscribe down below. I also have a Facebook page. You can look me up, This Narrowboat Adventure. If you want to send me a message there, I'd be very happy to say hello and chat with you. But I may not be that quick, but I'll do my best. And if you would like to, I have also got Patreon, and I do post things to my Patreons every now and again. And yes, that's really all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day. It was lovely spending this 45-ish minutes with you. Take care, and thanks for persevering with all of the techie issues at the beginning. Okay, bye! Oh, everyone's saying goodbye. How do this? Do. Bye. Oh. You all have a great day too. Bye, peace.